I'd love to just say I'm going to give my all in this video like I try to do every single time that I do a video for everyone. But you know, these last 2 days have just been pretty bad, so if they're less than stellar, I apologize up front. First off, I do want to talk Raw, and it is 9:30, and I'm sorry it took so long, actually. I was trying to shoot the video this morning, and Alan came earlier than I was anticipating. Actually, I wasn't anticipating him to come over and take me to work, but ended up able to. So, didn't get the video out this morning. Obviously, I couldn't do it at work, so now you got this, and this is pretty much the best I'm going to get. It's not going to be a normal 20-30 minute Raw video. I just don't have it in me tonight, guys. I'm sorry. It's been a really rough couple days, and I'm not going to talk about it, and you're not going to get me to talk about it. So let's talk Monday Night Raw. First off, we were in New Orleans, Louisiana for Monday Night Raw, and of course the announcement was made officially that WrestleMania 30 will be live in New Orleans. So New Orleans is hosting WrestleMania next year. And that's going to be awesome, and that's really, really great for New Orleans, and it's going to be really great for their economy. When it comes down to it, 10, 20, and then 30 should have been held at the Garden. I'm not exactly sure how exorbitant the ticket prices would have actually been if they went with the Garden, because it's such a small venue. It's under 20,000 people. So you would have had to basically charge people like $1,000 a ticket in the nosebleed section in order to break even. But I mean, it's the tens. I mean, it made sense. But I guess we have WrestleMania at New York, New Jersey this year, so I guess that's making up for it. Not really, but I mean, you get what you pay for, I guess. Started the show off with basically an opening confrontation between John Cena and CM Punk. So Cena came out and Punk interrupted him, and of course, Punk's bitter, but that you would expect that, but Punk actually said that The Rock won fair and square, but he has a right to be the WWE champion, he has a right to go to WrestleMania, but John Cena does not. He won the Royal Rumble, and to Punk, winning the Royal Rumble was not something that should give him a world title shot, a WWE title shot, sorry. But basically Punk said that, and furthermore went on to say that John Cena doesn't deserve that spot. Cena came up with an idea, he's like, I'm not going to give you the spot, but if you want to earn it, I'll give you your shot. How about we do this tonight? So Punk's like, no, we're going to do this on my terms and on my time, and I think it's going to be not here in New Orleans. It's going to be next week in Dallas for Monday Night Raw. So, it's going to be a great match, but I agree with this reviewer right here, and of course we're at 4-1 like we always are, and basically saying it's hard to get behind a match where you guarantee you know 100% who's going to win. I really, really want to see a swerve, though. I'd love to see Punk go to Mania against The Rock. I think Punk and The Rock would be a better match at WrestleMania. I don't know what you do with John Cena then, but I've got some ideas. But we'll talk about that later on. Actually, I'll do WrestleMania video coming up next month sometime. And we get to our second segment of the evening. Squash Central Time as Sin Cara hits the ring, and I'm pretty sure it was Unico. I think that's what I said the first time. I'm not exactly sure. I'm pretty sure it was Unico this time and not Mystico. And he got squashed like a bug by the world's strongest man, Mark Henry. He absolutely just annihilated him. And Sin Cara sold as great as he possibly could. It was great. And everything was going fine. And then Mark Henry basically did his normal, that's what I do. And Khali came out and basically chased Henry to the back? WrestleMania, Mark Henry and Great Khali? No. Blow it off on Main Event. Or blow it off on Superstars. This match should not happen, not even on Raw and SmackDown. I'm pretty sure next week on Raw, or this week on SmackDown, which obviously I haven't read the spoilers yet, this match needs to happen so we can just get it out of the way. We don't need it. And Mark Henry just squashing everyone, like destroying Hell No, and pretty much being a complete beast in the Elimination Chamber on Sunday. All for nothing as he backs down to the Great Khali, who no matter how tall he is, no matter how big he is, the way they book Khali, he's not a monster any longer. Just like Kane really isn't a monster any longer, but I'll get to that later on. So, we get to a no disqualification match, non-title match between Antonio Cesaro and The Miz. And Miz just beaten all to hell, actually. Just is completely wrapped up. His shoulder is taped. And Cesaro just used that as a giant bullseye and basically targeted the entire match. Now, everything was going fine, and they utilized the no DQ option with Singapore canes and steel chairs. And basically, Cesaro ended up crashing into the chair face first. And he got locked in the figure 4. And he tapped clean. But this was a match I was thinking was going to happen at Mania. So what do you do now? You know, personally, what I'm thinking right now, if you want to continue this for Mania, if you want this to have one final blow-off, The Miz and Antonio Cesaro at WrestleMania in a ladder match. You're not doing Money in the Bank. You've already made that perfectly clear. Money in the Bank will not happen at WrestleMania this year, so why not do a ladder match? The Miz and Antonio Cesaro. It could work. Definitely. So Wade Barrett comes out, basically to shill for Dead Man Down, which is absolutely amazing, by the way. And basically, he's just there for a split second. You could barely see him in the trailer. Really awesome WWE film. It's got Colin Farrell, Numi Rapace, Terrence Howard. I mean, the movie looks really good, and I think it's going to be really good, too. Terrence Howard is the heel. That's going to be even more awesome. But, that looks awesome. But then Barrett got interrupted, not by Bo Dallas, who you were expecting, but Sheamus. And Sheamus basically put over Colin Farrell. Of course, this is Farrell's movie. And basically, not talking about the Shield whatsoever. And then they said, we're out of time. That was a waste of a segment. So, our next segment was Brodus Clay, Tensai, and Naomi, with Cameron at ringside, with her pom-poms, against Primo Epico and Rosa Mendez. And, oh my god. So, basically, a clean loss for Epico and Primo yet again, and more dancing. And, you know, honestly, if you're going to do anything with Tensai as a babyface, make him the Hip Hop Hippo again, make him Albert or A-Train again, get rid of the gear he's wearing, because it doesn't work, and, anything. And if you want to, do a Fatal 4-Way at WrestleMania for the tag team titles with Hell No, The Shield, and another tag team. But don't know who that team would be, because you've buried the primetime players, you've buried Epico and Primo, you split up the Rhodes Scholars, so there's not many directions you can go, and that's kind of a shame, to be totally honest. I mean, Ryback and Sheamus? God, I hope not. Then up next we had our controversy part of the evening with Jack Swagger's State of the Union address. So, Swagger won Elimination Chamber, like I called, and that was pretty awesome. The thing about Swagger winning, though, he basically just stood behind Zeb Coulter the whole time. And they had, like, the Don't Tread on Me signs and flags, and there's a podium in the ring. I like this feud. I think it's going to work really well. It's going to push a lot of buttons, I'll tell you that right now. It's going to piss off a whole lot of people, but when it comes down to it, Alberto Del Rio and Jack Swagger at WrestleMania is going to be awesome because of the storyline that's going behind it. And basically, the crowd has not been really into this yet. I think it's going to grow on them quickly. But you've got the Dark Patriot, Jack Swagger, who really doesn't say anything except for "We the People" about 700 times. And you've got Zeb Coulter, which is, of course, Dirty Dutch Mantel, like, working the mic like he owes it money. And it's amazing, absolutely incredible stuff. I like Del Rio being portrayed. Oh, he's the babyface here, and he's tremendous as a babyface. I like the way they're doing what they're doing with Swagger, but the problem is, and I've said this numerous times, what Coulter and Swagger are saying in their promos makes them the babyface in different areas of the country. Luckily, we haven't got to one of those cities yet, but eventually it's going to happen, and then they're going to have to figure out a way to make him an uber heel so he doesn't get so much of a face reaction. And, I mean, I love this. I think the match at Mania is going to be awesome. I think after that, Ziggler cashes in and then takes Money in the Bank to its rightful conclusion, which is winning the World Heavyweight title from Alberto Del Rio and getting his WrestleMania moment. So I think that's what's going to happen. And speaking of Jack Swagger, this led to a match. Jack Swagger against Daniel Bryan. And, basically, apparently there's heat. There has to be heat because there's no other reason I can think of they did this. The Patriot Act is no longer the name of the ankle lock anymore. They got rid of it. They're calling it the Patriot Lock. I don't know why. But the match was pretty good so far, and it really did good to build up Swagger for his world title match at WrestleMania, and I have no problem with that. I do kind of have a problem with Daniel Bryan being put over as the submission specialist and tapping out. That doesn't really make much sense. But then again, it wasn't like he was facing John Cena, so I mean, anything. Basically, that's where we're going to go with this. Hell No is going to just dissect itself and just implode eventually, and then we're going to get the Daniel Bryan-Kane feud, which I really don't want to see. After this, we end up having Vicky Guerrero come out, and she made an announcement. And this announcement was made to basically reveal that Vicky now has an assistant to herself, being the managing supervisor, even though none of us know exactly what that means, and we probably never will. It's kind of like the Raw GM. We'll never exactly find out what the truth was. Who was behind GTV, who drove the Hummer, just, you know, the normal stuff in wrestling that you'll never know the answers to. But when it comes down to it, it could have been anybody. And Brad Maddox comes out, and Brad Maddox is awesome. Like I said, I'm a huge, huge fan of Brad Maddox's work. It was really awesome, and I really like his promo style. Brad Maddox is really out there. Think outside the box. Brad Maddox is amazing, and I really hope they utilize him to the fullest of his capabilities. It's kind of like how Zack Ryder was Booker T's assistant to the general manager on SmackDown. Kind of the same steez, but a little bit different, because Brad Maddox is absolutely insane, and he knows it. And he doesn't know it at the same time. It's really strange, but Brad Maddox is awesome on the mic, and I really want to see him do a lot more. So, basically, it was mentioned that Heyman would have done anything, and he did mean anything for CM Punk to get the stipulation put on his match with The Rock at Elimination Chamber. And basically, Vince McMahon said they're going to have a fight next week, and that's what's going to happen. Not exactly sure what's going to be with that, because there's not many directions you can go. But there's one that I'm jumping into, and I think I've already heard it mentioned once, and I'm just going to go ahead and slide that into my opinion as well. I think we're going to get to the match, and then Lesnar's going to come out, and then Triple H is going to come out, and we're going to build to that match for Mania. Yay, Triple H and Lesnar again. I do not want to see this match. So apparently, also earlier on in the show, Chris Jericho interrupts Ryback and Sheamus and basically just like chest chopping them left and right, saying they need to get it together and realize that the Shield is the problem and not them, and they need to focus on the fact they need to get rid of the Shield, and they can do it with Chris Jericho. So Jericho says, I'll go to Vicky and we'll set up this match. And next segment, yeah, that's exactly what happens. So we had Y2J, Sheamus, and Ryback against the Shield. So Lawler was mixing up Ambrose and Rollins right from the get-go, and that didn't really work very well. I really liked it because Ambrose was locked in the walls of Jericho, and then Rollins came off the top with the knee, and Jericho ended up getting pinned by Dean Ambrose, and that was the win. I do like the fact that it's going to help build their credibility as a stable and as potential challengers to titles or something other than just be a menacing threat that just cuts a lot of awesome promos and just attacks people left and right. So I like this because it works really well, and Ryback and Sheamus lose 2 nights in a row to the Shield. So obviously they need to get their revenge, and WrestleMania is coming up. But you don't do that because I think WrestleMania is going to end up doing Mark Henry and Sheamus. That's what I'm hearing, and I think that's a great idea. And I think they're talking about Ryback and Jericho, but Jericho hasn't turned yet, and he doesn't really have the time to turn yet. So I don't know what you do with Ryback at WrestleMania. If you don't do Sheamus and Henry, I'd do Ryback and Sheamus against the Shield, against Hell No, against... Oh, God, it's terrible. Don't forget the New Age Outlaws are also there, too, so the New Age Outlaws could be tossing this pretty easily. And I think that's a good idea. They need a WrestleMania moment. So, Damien Sandow comes out, and he beats the holy tar out of Kofi. So, he's beating him, and he's pounding him, and the next thing you know, R-Truth comes out, makes his return, and basically, he attacks and sends Sandow to the back. So, Kofi and Truth, maybe not getting the tag team back together, because obviously the Rhodes Scholars are split up, but maybe we can do another match somewhere down the road with the Rhodes Scholars and Kofi Kingston and R-Truth. And that's fine, I got no problem with that. Up next, we had Randy Orton against Kane, like I mentioned earlier. Basically, there was a promo with Daniel Bryan and Kane in the back. Kane was talking about, I don't like snakes, and Randy Orton was right there. It's like they slither around, I like to squash their head with my boot. So, basically, this was all to set up a match between Randy Orton and Kane. And basically, Randy Orton said Kane's lost all his intensity, he's lost his killer instinct, and pretty much he's nothing but a joke now. He's all about hugs and anger management versus being about destroying people and lighting them on fire and doing all sorts of awesome things, like what he did to Zack Ryder when he was in the wheelchair at the first of the year last year. So, I mean, that was basically what this did. Basically, it was kind of a dull match. I totally agree with that. Crowd wasn't really into it. Daniel Bryan came out, and everybody knew that was going to happen. And pretty much, Orton ends up getting the win, like everyone knew he would, with the RKO. And Orton is pretty much on a road to nowhere right now, because there's really nothing you can do with him at WrestleMania. He wants to turn heel. I mean, if you do that, if there was enough time, I'd chip him towards Ryback. I think that would work really well, but can't really do that now, so I don't know exactly what you do. What do you do with Randy Orton at WrestleMania? Because he was supposed to face Sheamus at one point. He could face the Big Show, maybe? So many questions. God, at this point, Orton may not even make the pay-per-view. But anyway, the final segment of the evening was the huge celebration for The Rock. And even had marching band out and everything. And he comes out, and he basically tosses down the spinner belt, and he unveils a new title, which is gonna have to grow on me, because I think it looks really, really chintzy, and it looks a lot better than the spinner belt, but I don't believe the WWE Championship needs to look like a toy, and I think it looks like a toy. I think you should have brought back the Winged Eagle belt. I think that would have worked really well. The Undisputed title, someone's mentioned before. The old WWF title, like the 2000 belt, and we could use that again. That would be a possibility. I just don't like this belt. I just don't. So, I mean, I didn't like it when I saw the pictures that were released on the internet ahead of everybody's schedule. And basically, you have the side plates or the Brahma Bulls, and that, of course, will be eliminated when Rock loses the title at WrestleMania. But that's fine. Basically, this is going to set up the fact that Punk is now entwined in this feud. And that's fine, and I want that to be the case, because I'm still rooting for the three-way at WrestleMania. Because it's not once in a lifetime, obviously, if you do it that way. So, I mean, that was basically... I gotta get to this real quick. And go on. So, here's the best part of the storyline. So, The Rock comes out after his normal histrionics like he always does, and crowd chants and all a bunch of stupidness. And he basically says, who does he want to face at WrestleMania 29? Punk or Cena? He's about to say who's brought out the best in him and facing for personal and professional reasons when Cena comes out. He's presuming The Rock is speaking of him, but it's not quite positive. Out of nowhere, CM Punk takes the WWE Championship, the spinner belt, cracks Cena in the back with it, and knocks him out. He tosses the belt aside, he points at The Rock's new championship, says, I want that one. And Rock looks ready to fight, Punk sulks off, and Rock looks on as Cena struggles to get up, and we fade to black. Interesting show. There's a couple things I like, a couple things I didn't like. I do like the fact that, technically, we're still going with Punk in the main storyline right now. And we have seen nothing from The Undertaker, so we don't know if Undertaker's even good for Mania or not. But basically, I'm going to have to get off here soon because I need to get some food in me because I'm absolutely starving. It's been a really rough day, and I'm sorry for a short Raw recap. I promised you I'll make it up to you Friday when I do my TNA Impact. I know it's not the same thing because most of you guys aren't TNA fans, but I'll make it up to you next week on Raw, so I'll shoot Tuesday's video and put a lot more into it. Sorry about that. But I'm going to get off here, have some dinner, and until tomorrow, that's all I got to say about that.